it's Miss Checka. I'm very happy to see you today. And we're going to do something a little different today because I don't know what book to read next. So I brought a lot of books. See, a lot of books. Basically, on the last day that we could go to our classroom before school let out, I brought a suitcase and went to my classroom and just picked a whole bunch of books kind of at random because I was in a hurry. We had like 15 minutes. And I put them in the suitcase and I brought them home. So most of these are books that I, in fact, have not read, never taught. But I thought that it would be fun if we today like read a whole bunch of first chapters, or even like the first couple of pages of some books. And that way, that might give us some ideas of what we want to read together in Nerd Hangout, but maybe a book that you want to check out from your public library. I don't know. So I'm just gonna, I obviously cannot do all of these books. It's stacks. But I'm gonna try and do as many as I can in 20 minutes. Okay, so this one, very exciting looking. It has won this fancy award, and it is called American-Born Chinese, and it is by Jean Luen Yang, and it's a graphic novel. How about that? I didn't actually realize that. Okay, so here it is, American-Born Chinese. This is this, and let's just read. Ah! It's Allison! Hi, Allison! I haven't seen you in a long time. Hi, Tess! Okay, this is going to be more fun because now we can have opinions in the chat box. All right. This is already delightful because it has this like fun illustration. So I know it's hard to read a graphic novel on the internet, but I'm going to read a page and then I'll show you the pictures, okay? Or actually, let me show you the picture first. This is the first page, and I'm going to read you what it says. It says, one bright and starry night, the gods, the goddesses, the demons, and the spirits gathered in heaven for a dinner party. So here's some of the things that the people are saying. Your peaches are looking especially plump today, my dear. Teehee, oh, stop it, Lao Tzu. I don't mean to boast, but that thunderstorm I put together last night impressed even myself. Okay, here is the next panel. And it says, their music and the scent of their wine drifted down, down, down to Flower Fruit Mountain, where flowers bloomed year-round and fruits hung heavy with nectar. And monkeys frolicked under the watchful eye of the magical Monkey King. Now, the monkey was a deity in his own right. So I'm going to show you. That is the Monkey King, and there are the monkeys. Deity, guys, is a god. Legend had it that long ago, long before almost any monkey could remember, the Monkey King was born of a rock. When his eyes first opened, they flashed rays of light deep into the sky. All of heaven took notice. And soon after, he purged Flower Fruit Mountain of the tiger spirit that had haunted it for centuries. He established his kingdom, and monkeys from the four corners of the world flocked to him. Okay. And here's the next set of panels. The Monkey King ruled with a firm but gentle hand. He spent his days studying the arts of Kung Fu. He quickly mastered thousands of minor disciplines, as well as the four major heavenly disciplines, requisites to immortality. Discipline 1, fist like lightning. Discipline 2, thunderous foot. Discipline 3, heavenly senses. A dinner party. The Monkey King liked dinner parties very much. Okay, so here are his different disciplines. My dear subjects, I must take leave of you tonight, for there is a very important party I must attend. And then he says something in Chinese. Discipline 4, cloud as steed. And you remember a steed is like a horse. So he rides on a cloud. Actually, that's pretty great. He rides on the cloud. The Monkey King waited in line for what seemed like an eternity. He fidgeted this way and that. Monkeys just aren't very good at waiting, but forced himself to stay in line. All the while, he thought about how much he liked dinner parties. Here's the next set of panels. By the time the Monkey King arrived at the front gate, he was beside himself with anticipation, announcing the arrival of Aljun, the Dragon King of the Western Sea. Pardon me, sir, but might you step this way for a moment? Oh, I'm sorry. You may announce that I am the Monkey King of Flower Fruit Mountain. Oh, yes, I apologize profusely, sir, but I cannot let you in. And here's the next one. You haven't any shoes. But there must be some mistake. I am the sovereign ruler of Flower Fruit Mountain, where the flowers bloom year-round and the fruits hang heavy with nectar. Thousands of subjects pledge loyalty to me. Well, good for you, sir. Good for you. Now, if you'll kindly step aside. You don't understand. I, too, am a deity. I am a committed disciple of the arts of Kung Fu, and I have mastered the 4 major heavenly disciplines, prerequisites to immortality. Oh, that's wonderful, sir. Absolutely wonderful. Now, please, sir, I demand to be let into this dinner party. Look, you may be a king, you may even be a deity, but you are still a monkey. Have a good evening, sir. And then they all laughed at him. Monkey King was thoroughly embarrassed. He was so embarrassed, in fact, that he almost left without saying a word. And then here's the next one. But on second thought, he decided that perhaps saying one word would make him feel better. Die! Then, uh-oh. Whoa. Oh, yeah, there's more of it. That's my face when I'm upset. The Monkey King couldn't stop shaking as he descended on Flower Fruit Mountain. When he entered his royal chamber, the thick smell of monkey fur greeted him. He'd never noticed it before. He stayed awake for the rest of the night, thinking of ways to get rid of it. So that is the first part. But the rest of the book, it looks like, is this kid. Or actually, looks like it goes back and forth, but that's a pretty good beginning, right? So the Monkey King is like pretty amazing, but then he's made to feel kind of ashamed. All right. Let's see what else we got here. The Great Piratical Rumbustification. Light it up. Dancing Home. Oh, this has a nice cover. I'm going to do this one because I like this cover. And as you know, you should always judge a book by its cover. Okay, this is called, Dancing Home by Alma Flor Ada and Gabriel M. Zubizarreta. Those are exciting names. Okay, chapter 1, the map. Margie felt nervous having to wait outside the principal's office. Ooh, first line, she's already in trouble. Ooh. She kept her eyes fixed on the huge map that covered the entire wall. Mrs. Donaldson seemed to be a pleasant woman, but Margie had never had to address the principal all by herself before. The map's colors were vivid and bold, showing Canada, the United States, and part of Mexico. Alaska and the rest of the United States were a strong green. Canada was a bright yellow. The remainder of the map, however, showed only a small part of Mexico and a drab sand-like color Margie could not name. For Margie, maps were an invitation to wonder, a promise that someday she would visit faraway places all over the world. Ooh, I already like Margie because you know that I love to travel and see new places. Looking at this one, Margie could imagine herself admiring the giant glaciers in Alaska, standing in awe in front of the Grand Canyon, gazing at the endless plains of the Midwest, trying to find her way in the midst of bustling New York City or peering at the rocky coasts of Maine. But when her eyes began to wander south of the border, she averted her gaze. That is not a place I want to visit, she thought, remembering so many conversations between her parents and their neighbors, tales of family not having enough money to live a decent life, or sick people lacking medical care, and of people losing their land and homes. As she pushed those troubling thoughts aside, Margie's heart once again swelled with pride, knowing that she had been born north of that border in the United States, an American. Margie looked over at the girl waiting in the other chair outside the principal's office. Her cousin Lupe was not as lucky as Margie, who had been born in the United States. Lupe had just arrived from Mexico and looked completely out of place in that silly frilly dress she had insisted on wearing. My mother made it especially for me, she had pleaded, and Margie's mother had allowed her to wear it. That dress was much too fancy for school. It was so embarrassing for Margie to be seen with a cousin who was dressed like a doll. Oh, Christian Alexander. Yes, Woman Warrior, so good. Oh, we got to talk about that. Margie knew her classmates would tease Lupe about her organza dress and her long braids. Would all that teasing spill over to Margie? Were they going to start mocking her, squealing, Margarita, Margarita, and asking her when she had crossed over from Mexico? She hated it so much when they teased her like that. It had been such a struggle for Margie to get her classmates to stop thinking of her as Mexican. She was very proud of having been born in Texas. She was as American as anyone else. Now Margie feared that because Lupe was tagging along in that dumb dress, everyone would start back up with the teasing that she hated so much. She could just hear her classmates asking her why she didn't bring burritos for lunch, or looking at her and laughing as they said, "No way, Jose." Margie was still wishing she could have convinced Lupe to dress normally when the principal appeared, walking briskly and motioning for the girls to follow her into her office. "Good morning, Margarita. What can I do for you?" Mrs. Donaldson's voice was all business. Everything about her seemed to say, "I do not have a minute to spare." "Good morning, Mrs. Donaldson. This is my cousin Lupe. She just got here from Mexico." My mother said, Mrs. Donaldson, who had begun to shuffle the papers on her desktop, interrupted Margie. "Oh, your mother registered yesterday, Margarita. Just take her with you to your class." "To my class?" There was surprise and urgency in Margie's voice. "But she just got here. She is from Mexico. She doesn't know how to speak." Mrs. Donaldson stared at Margie. "You mean she doesn't know how to speak English, right? I imagine she can speak Spanish." Then turning to Lupe, she slowly said, "Bienvenida to Fair Oaks, Lupe. Bonito vestido." Lupe managed a shy smile, but she kept looking down at her feet and answered in the smallest voice, "Muchas gracias." Margie cut through Lupe's words. "Well, yes, I mean, she speaks Spanish, but in my class, we only speak English. She is not going to fit in there, Mrs. Donaldson." She was shocked at her audacity in arguing with the principal, but there was no way she was going to show up in class with her Mexican cousin tagging along. Audacity means bravery. It's a great word. Why had Mrs. Donaldson complimented Lupe's stupid party dress? How could adults be so dishonest? Margie wondered. Mrs. Donaldson said firmly, "The 5th grade bilingual class is overbooked. There is no way I can put one more desk in there. Judging by her grades in Mexico, Lupe is a very good student, and since you can help her both here and at home, we all expect that she will do well in your class." And with a voice that left no room for a reply, she added, "I thought you would be happy about this. She is your cousin, Margarita." Mrs. Donaldson looked so stern that Margie decided not to say anything else. She got up and left, signaling Lupe to follow her. But as she was leaving the office, she looked back at the huge map of the United States. This was a great country, and she was very glad that she'd been born here and spoke English as well as any of her friends. Lupe followed Margie down the hall. She had not understood the conversation in the principal's office. It was clear to Margie, why don't you translate for your cousin? It was clear to Lupe that her cousin was upset, but Lupe did not know why. As they made their way to the classroom, everything Lupe saw awakened her curiosity. It was all so different from Mexico. She had never been to a school with so many things hanging on the walls, and she still could not believe that the students did not wear uniforms. She'd been very surprised when her aunt told her. When Lupe arrived in California, Tia Consuelo had bought her some new clothes to wear for school. But for this first day, Lupe had wanted to wear the pink organza dress her mother had made. Margie did not seem to like it, but Lupe felt it was important to give a good first impression. When Margie opened the door, Lupe's surprise grew. They were obviously in a classroom, but instead of the neat rows of desks that she was used to, the students were sitting in small clusters of 2 or 4 desks placed around the room. And there were all sorts of different things in the classroom, posters on the wall, mobiles hanging from the ceiling, many different kinds of books on the bookshelves. There was even a fish tank. Christian Alexander thinks that Margie is being a snake and not translating to her cousin, and it's true. I agree with you. With binders and backpacks scattered all over, it looked very chaotic. Not more like a bus station than a classroom. I don't even know what Lupe would think of my classroom because it's a mess. Stunned, Lupe hesitated in the doorway, afraid to walk in. Glancing at everything from the corners of her eyes, she remembered the neat and orderly classroom of her old school in Mexico. Suddenly, she became aware that everyone in the room was looking at her. She dropped her gaze and stared down at the floor in front of her feet. Meanwhile, Margie went directly to the teacher's desk. Miss Jones, this is my cousin, Lupe Gonzalez. Mrs. Donaldson told me to bring her here, but there must be some mistake. She should be in bilingual class, right? The teacher did not answer Margie's question, but turned to address Lupe. Margie looked back at Lupe, who had not moved, trying to signal her to come in. Finally, Margie walked back to the door and took hold of her cousin's arm. Lupe jumped a little when Margie grabbed her, and the class was instantly filled with laughter. Lupe raised her eyes and saw that her cousin's face had turned crimson. Obviously upset, Margie led Lupe over to Miss Jones's class. Buenos días, Lupe. ¿Cómo estás usted? Miss Jones said slowly, pronouncing each syllable of the formal greeting. Surprised at being addressed so formally, Lupe did not know how to answer the teacher's halting Spanish, but she knew how to show respect, so she looked down. More laughter spread around the room. Margie, have your cousin sit next to you in the back of the class so that you can translate what I say. That is all the Spanish I know. And let me pause for a second to explain that in Romance languages, so in languages that are based in Latin, and Latin was spoken in ancient Rome, which is where we get the word romance from, you have a formal you and an informal you. So French is like this, Spanish is like this. So if you're talking to like a queen or your teacher, which is basically the same thing, then you use the formal voice, which in Spanish is usted. In French, it would be vous, right? But if you're talking to like your kid brother or sister or somebody in your family or like your best friend, then you say tu. Also in French, it's tu, right? So that's why Lupe is confused that her teacher is like, welcome, high rank person, when like she's just a kid. So actually the teacher has made a little mistake in Spanish, but Lupe is too polite to tell her, right? But Miss Jones, the urgency in Margie's voice was greater than ever. I don't know much Spanish myself. I won't be able to translate everything you say. Besides, I sit up front next to Liz. I have moved you next to the empty seat in the back. That way you can translate while I speak and you won't disturb the rest of the class. Now go sit down. Class should have started already. And please tell your cousin that even if she is feeling shy, she needs to look at me when I talk to her. Margie sulked toward her new seat while Lupe continued to stand in front of the teacher's desk. When the laughter started up again, Margie turned and grabbed Lupe, pulling her toward the back of the class. Lupe followed silently. When she dared to look up and smile, the laughter started again until Miss Jones demanded silence. Okay. So I did not do a super job because I thought that we would read the first part of a whole bunch of books, but it turns out that like 20 minutes is not a very long time. So having Margie translate seems highly unprofessional. I was thinking the same thing. I was also thinking that principal should have like explained to Lupe what was going on before she left her office. Okay, so why don't you tell me in the chat box, do you want to do more first chapters tomorrow? Because we have a lot of books that we could like see a little first chapter of, or do you want to pick from these two? Because I liked both of these, honestly. And Christian Alexander, since you are there and typing away, I don't think that this is a book that we are going to do in Nerd Hangout. We might do it in Nerd Hangout, but like you specifically would love this book. Love it. You would like it a lot. It has Shakespeare in it. And has romantic elements, and it's written by my friend. So chemistry lessons, Meredith Goldstein, Christian Alexander, that's for you. Kids, if you're in elementary school, you got to wait on it. If you're in middle school, you should read it, or high school. But okay, chat box, opinions. Do you want to do more first chapters? Unethical to promote my friend's book. Christian Alexander, you have lost your mind. I'm absolutely going to promote my friend's book because it's good and because she's my friend and because it's my YouTube channel. I do not have like a contract with the entire author universe that I have to promote books that, you know, because they were written. I promote books that I like. All right. Tess does not know. Christian Alexander. That's funny. Nerds. Bad Island. Stargirl. I got a lot. Milo. The Little Princess. I love this book so much. I really want to read y'all some of this. Ghostopolis. Miss Chuck is receiving kickbacks. You're right. I'm receiving undying friendship. It's the best kickback. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I kind of want to read more first chapters tomorrow because there's so many books here that I either like or haven't ever read, and I want to take a peek in. Series of Unfortunate Events. This is a cute edition of it too, isn't it? So maybe tomorrow we read some more first ones, but then you can also maybe say in the comment section under the video if you like this one, or you like both of them. Man, Margie is not a supportive cousin. I'm getting that. Okay. You like the dancing lesson book? First chapters are cool. Yeah, I like first chapters. Okay, so maybe tomorrow and maybe even for the next couple of days, we do a whole bunch of first chapters, and that way all of us can find like fun stuff to read this summer. We're way over time. So we gotta go. Eat your fruits and vegetables, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.